I want to bring this up. We heard a discussion on fever therapy, and I want to refer to a series of events again that happened here in this regard, and it might be interpreted as my rendition of fever therapy and how it has worked well for me. But I came to the realization, and so did the wife, that about 5 or 6 weeks after my operation, I was still very drugged, doped out, as it were. The real life wasn't there in me. And so when my son was up on a visit, he talked me into climbing a mountain with him. And I didn't feel like climbing a mountain, but he was so insistent. He was so demanding. He grabbed me by the arm and he made me climb that mountain. I don't know if any of you have climbed mountains, but it can be very exasperating and tiring, and it can really build up the body heat. Well, I built up, evidently, a good deal of body heat, because when I got down, I was highly feverish. But you know, after that episode of the high fever, I was at my best after that. I just felt an immediate change and transition to health. And I said to myself, obviously, there's something to what they say about this fever therapy, because we had read about it, but until you experience it, you can't really know what it does for you. And so I have my own rendition of developing this fever therapy. I go out and I don heavy clothes, winter clothes, on a hot summer's day, and I go out when the sun is just cooking and broiling, and I go out and I cut and chop wood until I venture to say that I build up the body heat in my body that must blow the top right off a thermometer. But you know, after I exhaust myself with this kind of work, which is to me very enjoyable, when I shower up and come in for the remaining portion of the day, I feel fantastic. The body just seems to respond to this type of high fever therapy. And so I do it every chance and opportunity I get, because I know what good it does for my body. So what I'm basically trying to say, we have to get to know ourselves and how well our body responds to certain given situations, conditions, therapies, and so on, and utilize it and benefit ourselves. Well, by this time, after leaving the hospital, I had really gotten into the Kelly regimen in earnest. After being metabolically categorized, we went to only one nutritional counseling session that Kelly offered, and then after that we figured we could do it pretty much on our own type of program and with the loving aid and assistance of Ruth. Now, a remarkable transition started to occur physically. When I had left the hospital, I was practically white-haired, and as the weeks progressed, my hair started to turn dark. So I knew something good was happening. And not only that, but my muscle tone started to come back, and so I was really encouraged to start working out and doing a lot of laborious activities, and the muscle tone started to return to the body. And my eyesight began to stabilize itself, and so I was getting to feel like my old self again. In fact, my old self had returned to the weight of my high school days. Now, that's something to be envied. Those first 6 months, though, following my operation, they were very intensified and dedicated months to detoxification of the old body. And it did marvels. That's all I have to say. It did the whole trick. There were times, true, when I would suffer setbacks after that period of time. I wasn't sure if some type of regression was setting in, but that's the marvelous thing about keeping in touch with Fact and Ruth. And so I'd get on the phone and say, Ruth, I'm getting a stabbing pain right back here. And she'd tell me, well, stay on this enzyme and do this and so on, and you should eradicate it. And sure enough, she was correct in her diagnosis. Another thing I might mention is that when one is a cancer victim and he does manage to overcome his problem, that he gets to be a very famous person. He gets a lot of notoriety. And pretty soon, before you realize it, you're inundated with people who have cancer problems or other types of degenerative diseases. And right away, they turn to you because they're floundering around like I formerly did, and they want help. They want help in the worst way. And so I realized that I was in no position really to offer this kind of counsel. So we would refer all these folks to FACT. We'd channel them into Ruth Sackman. And I might mention that I know of any number of cases, personally, of individuals who went on this program and today they're doing marvelously well. In fact, I know of another individual in Warwick, Rhode Island, who had cancer of the pancreas. He too had been opened up, and he'd been sewn up and closed and told he only had a few months to live, but he is doing well and well on the road to recovery. It's 3 years since then. But you see, there are many, many reports that are to be had showing that individuals, if they apply themselves and follow the directives given in administering aid to themselves, that they will turn the situation around. So that basically is my tale of woe.